we had Gruyere cheese, and I had a little bit of ham, and I had onions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we on yet?
And I just ask if you're not talking to mute yourself and unmute yourself when you talk. So that way, if you got background noise, it's not interfering.
Goodness you. Goodness you.
Are we on, Derek?
Yep. Go ahead, Jean.
Okay, Conservation Commission meeting Wednesday, May 26, 2001. Right to know meeting for Goffstown. As the acting chair of the Goffstown Conservation Commission, due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and in the accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the Commission is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possible by video or other electronic means. The Conservation Commission is utilizing a telephone conference line for this electronic meeting. The public has access to the contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number: 603-766-5646 and using the participant code 785645 followed by the pound sign. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public on how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the posted agenda. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem with the telephone access, please call 603-660-5000. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We'll start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Anyone wishing to speak, press *9 and the operator will recognize you. We'll start with the roll call. Susan?
You gotta unmute yourself.
Thank you. I'm here and I'm by myself in the porch.
Andy?
I'm here and I'm by myself.
Okay. Okay, Andy?
Andrew. Andy's just a guess.
Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew Chaplin, I'm alone in my house.
Okay, David?
I'm alone in my house.
Okay, Evelyn?
Evelyn's present alone.
Okay, Jean Walker alone. Collis?
Collis Adams, Select Board Rep. I'm alone except for my dog, but she knows she can't
Okay.
go.
Chuck is correct.
Chuck has not signed on.
Okay, first on the agenda, we have a public hearing for the conservation and open space easement on map 7, lot 88 and 88B. In accordance with the RSA 36-A:5, the Goffstown Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 26, 2001 at 7 p.m. to receive public comment to expend conservation funds for the purchase and administrative costs associated with the conveyance of 17 acres conservation easement deed on map 7, lots 88 and 88B, located on Snook Road to the Piscataqua Land Conservancy. The easement will conserve land protecting the Snook Road swamp in designated prime wetlands. David, you speak to this?
Yes, this is David Neiman. I don't know, Patty must have done something magical because my camera went from red not working to green right after I said it wouldn't work. So
I spotlighted you.
He's magic.
First of all, can I share the screen? Am I not eligible to do that? I'm not seeing it as an option in the.
You should be able to. I have anyone can
Okay. I found it. It said share tray. I didn't know it was in a tray now. Oops, that's not right. Sorry about this. All right, I'm sorry. It had shown a tray before, share tray. There it is. Now it's back. All right. So the Gibney Conservation Easement Project. This is a piece of land off of Snook Road, just south of Snook Road. It's part of the larger area south of Snook Road that we've been seeking to protect. It's an area of wetland complexes and streams that interconnect them. Two of the wetland complexes are prime wetlands, including Snook Road Swamp, which the Gibney property abuts and extends into the swamp itself on the northern side. There's a couple properties in this map highlighted in yellow. One is the Burns property, which we're also completing. It's just included along with this image to show that what we're doing this year is protecting this whole northern side of this wetland complex. And as part of previous efforts for both the Burns and the Shost, we've received 2 different DES ARM grants to help with this. So this is completing protection along the northern side. We did get a grant on the Burns property. Since we were doing this at the same time, we did not apply for a grant for this one since we didn't want to compete with ourselves. So we chose the Burns because it was the more expensive project. So that shows the locations. The Gibney property is ranked very high. It's in the higher scoring focus area in the Merrimack Conservation Plan. And also in the New Hampshire Wildlife Action Plan, it ranks as tier 2. There's a lot of abundant wildlife throughout the property, and the abutting properties and this property, signs of it all over the place. Not only the major prime wetlands, but the whole Gibney property is just chock full of vernal pools. There's quite a few. The eastern lot, which is 788, has kind of a mix of hummocky high grounds and a lot of wetlands in between, which is a good mix of habitat to go along with the pools. It did have one area on its western end, kind of where the 2 lots come together, a sizable area that was suitable for development, and that increased the amount of the appraisal on this property. The funding will all be coming from our land use change tax conservation fund that we'll be voting on. So the budget is shown on the right side of the screen. So the CE purchase itself appraised out at $90,000. The stewardship combined stewardship contribution and legal funds from PLC came out to $7,050. They charged $4,030 for project management fee. The baseline data report that was done came out at $1,860. The environmental assessment came at $930. The appraisal at $3,000. The survey work, it shows here in this budget as contracted. That's actually completed and recorded. That's at $2,500. The title work at $275. Title insurance $248. And the closing, we quoted about $350, which should be pretty accurate based on the number of pages. And then legal fees at $2,000, and and the recording. So that brings the grand total of the budget to $112,443. When we go to have a vote on this, I will do the usual of just rounding it up a bit in case any last minute expense comes in. Usually doesn't happen, but it's always good to be covered. So we'll have a vote not to, up to, but not to exceed 114. Are there any questions on the project?
No, no questions at all? Okay, David, do you
No, I
want
guess,
to? Yes, go ahead.
well, the only thing I was going to say is, David, this is the wetland that has a large heron rookery in it?
Yes, that's
Is that-
due south of that so it's sort of towards the eastern end of Snook Road Swamp. That's where the heron rookery is.
Yeah, so has that been at least 20 years that you've been kind of involved in this whole project, working on it? It's wonderful you're doing this and that we're getting this. I'm just saying it's been very special and it's been around for quite a while. Not the yellow ones, but yeah, this area. You've worked on.
Yeah, it hasn't been 20 years because I don't think I've been on the commission for 20 years. I'm not sure how long ago it was we did the Shost easement, which contains the bulk of the rookery. I think that was, I don't know, 12 years ago, 10, 12. I really don't remember the year.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Anyway, this is great. Yeah, it's great. That's all.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, David, you want to make a motion?
Yep, if there's no
I
further
figured you must have
discussion,
one there for us.
I'll go ahead. Yeah, I wrote it all out and sent a copy of what I'm about to read to Patty, so it'll be there for the minutes. Okay, I move in accordance with RSA 36-A:5 that we vote to approve the release of an amount up to but not to exceed $114,000 from the Goffstown Land Use Change Tax Conservation Fund for the purchase and administrative expenses of a conservation easement on Map 7, Lot 88, and Map 7, Lot 88B. The easement will be held by the Piscataquag Land Conservancy, and release of the funds is subject to the easement containing an executory interest granted to the town of Goffstown.
I'll second that. Oh, I can't do that, sorry.
You can't do that. If we have a, Susan?
I'll second.
One.
Okay, Susan seconds it. We'll have a vote on that and we'll start with Amy,
Yay.
Andrew,
Andrew Chaplin, yay.
Evelyn,
Evelyn votes yes.
Susan,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Jean, yes. Any objections, abstentions? Okay, we're all set. I think I got everybody all set on that, David. Thank you so much for this work that you put into this project.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for all your hard work, David. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
So just the schedule going forward then, tomorrow night I'll be appearing before the planning board to present the project to them as part of the 4114A process, to try and get their recommendation for it. And the hearings before the select board have also been scheduled. Starting in June. I think it's the 14th for the first hearing and the 28th for the second, with the final vote on July 12th.
Okay, thank you again. Do we have someone from the public that would like to speak to an issue at this time?
Yeah, David, do you want to remove your tray? I don't want to take control, but I can.
All right, 1 second.
So that way, when the next, because we do have someone from the public that will want to speak. Oh, for this project, no, there's no one from the public, but we have another item on from the public.
Okay, control should be back to you now.
Yeah.
Where is he?
So I'm gonna let you, because you're familiar with it, David. Do you want to kind of explain? Because we do have Andrewcadaret on the phone, that's here from Piscataqua Land.
We have him on video,
He's
Yeah.
on.
online.
Yep,
Got it.
Andrew is here to report on a very serious violation we found along the upper reaches of the Piscataqua River, up near the western border of the town. So I'll just turn it over to Andy to lay it all out.
Okay. All right. Thank you, David. I will want to share photos, and what I'll do is I'll PDF what I have and I'll send it to Patty for the committee. My name is Andrewcadaret. I am a Goffstown resident.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. I'm a Goffstown resident. I'm also the Goffstown representative on the Piscataqua River Local Advisory Committee. And I don't know if you know what that is. It was created by RSA 483. And basically, each community along the Piscataqua River, which is a designated river, has the ability to have individuals represented. It's a state committee. It's through DES, Department of Environmental Services. And basically, our role is to advise, to comment, to assist, and to report on things within our jurisdiction along the river, which is a quarter mile of each side of the river. I also live in the community. I go up I canoe up the Piscataqua River fairly often, and I'll say, I am not against ATVs, but when we stumbled upon this, I just know when something's wrong, and this was very wrong. And so I'm asking the committee really to, I think whatever action, something needs to be done. And when I looked at the complaint form through DES, it really says, is the Conservation Committee aware of that? So I'm making you aware and hoping that you will take action. And I'll just see if this works. I'm hoping you can see my screen. Someone confirm they can see that photo. So I'll just lead with this. And so what this is so I go up the river fairly often.
Can't see it, Andrew.
We can't see anything.
Can. Okay.
There it
There
is.
you go.
There
Now
we
it's-
go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now it's back to
I
you.
just- All right.
We-
Let me share. Choosing the photo. It's highlighted red on my screen, so I'm assuming you can see it.
Maybe it takes a moment.
Not yet. There it is.
There it is.
We've got it.
So
I'm
I
not-
figured I would just lead with this. I go up the river fairly often. I do a lot of fishing up there. I duck hunt up on the river. There's all kinds of wood ducks. And I've also observed what's a wood turtle, which is a threatened species of reptiles in New Hampshire. This usually is kind of like a vernal pool. And this is a fairly large vernal pool. And I just wanted, as soon as I saw this, let me see if I'm going to zoom in. So this is basically was a vernal pool. And if you zoom in, you can see what it was supposed to look like. It usually looks like what's in the background here. And there's wood ducks in there and it's full of frogs. This is literally tire tracks throughout the whole vernal pool. And so to me, this would be a dredge and fill unpermitted wetland violation. If they were staying on people have always four-wheeled up in there, and if they had stayed on the paths, which there are a number of paths, but in this case, people have really gone outside of that and impacting the wetlands in a serious way. So I'll pull up my presentation just to kind of go through it to give you a sense of where this is. So again, this is the same picture. This to me was the most shocking. So this is in the Piscataquag River. Town Hall is right about here. You go up the river, and this here is all a floodplain forest. Very low topography. There's a lot of wildlife in there, and there's really no development on the 78-acre parcel. And you can see all these are little wetlands in through here. And what has happened is traditionally they'll stay in the sand pits and over in this area. But here's the parcel that we're talking about. It's parcel 464.
Yeah, just to make you aware, Andy, the images are coming up with a significant lag time after you begin talking about them. So
I'll slow down. So
Well-
it's a 78-acre parcel, section 4.64, or map and block, and there's a lot of floodplain forest in this parcel. So do you know where the parcel is, or do I need to go over that further? We good?
Yeah.
So the area where the ATVs have done the most severe impact is right in here. If you can see where I'm circling with my mouse, and there's this little channel of water that kind of comes in from the river. That is what I believe they have driven through and really turned from a vernal pool wetland into a giant mud pit. They've also gone all along this river, and usually they stay on the trails, but they've gone off trail. And, I was up there actually looking at spring wildflowers. There was wildflowers one weekend. The next weekend, there was nothing. There was probably a half an acre spot that was completely obliterated. They've also been crossing these streams here and going out onto this little island. There's a bunch of little streams that kind of meander through here that when it floods, they're actual streams, and they've been going through there. So here's the aerial view of this parcel, and you can kind of see that little wetland right there. Typically, they're doing their ATVs. There are a whole bunch of trails along here, and then they'll go, there's like a trail that will go and kind of loop back to this sand pit. And these are just the photos. You've seen this photo where they've basically gone through a mud pit. This is the river that I'm in my canoe, and you can see the ATV comes down and goes into the river. This is out at this point here where these little streams are. And so they've crossed the river into the streams. If it wasn't a wetland, if it wasn't a floodplain forest, which is really unique habitat, I probably wouldn't be as concerned. This is what that forest looks like now from the ATVs. And a week prior to this, this had all kinds of trout lilies and other ferns and stuff. And I saw it, I was just like, oh, it looks like a bomb went off. Water that I was led with is over here. And what they're doing is they actually commented that they're hoping to make this an ATV park. This is the wrong spot for an ATV park. This is the wrong spot. This is a little wetland, and they were actually, I think, 5 ATVs. And I guess when I was young, we had like dirt bikes, and then we had 3-wheelers. Now they got these things that are side by side that are like cars, so it's not the same thing that I grew up. These are serious machines that in a sensitive area can do a lot of damage. This is the wood turtle. This picture here was actually taken, I think, 2 weeks ago. This is a wood turtle here. This is a smaller one, so they're breeding in this area. It's the perfect habitat for wood turtles. Wood turtles are a threatened species. They need water, they need fields and woods, and they need sand pits to lay their eggs. And I have actually reported to the state over a number of years wood turtle sightings, and I believe they've gone down in, not to this parcel, but a parcel adjacent, and have commented on how phenomenal habitat that is. And there's a link to the profile on the turtles. The turtles that I've observed up there are all along the green here. They primarily, I've seen them actually breeding in this sand pit here, and all along the water. They tend to go, and they probably go out into this field and eat, or into the woods and eat, and then, do whatever turtles do. The red areas are where they've really been, the 4-wheelers have been taken, basically destroying it. So And I think that's it. So I don't know if you have any questions, but my ask to the committee is, I wanted to notify the Conservation Committee of this and ask that something be done. I would hope the first thing would be just talk to the owner. The owner may not be aware that this is happening, and that may be the first step. Just say, hey, people are on your property and there's a wetlands violation. I don't know if filing it to the state is appropriate, but I'll leave that up to you guys to decide what the next steps are and let me know what I can do.
And Andy, have you reported this yet to Nancy Larson, our zoning
I have
board
not.
enforcement officer? Okay,
No.
well, that's something we need to do immediately.
So that would be, that would be the first step, and then Nancy could probably contact the owners. Patty, would that be the way that would work to begin with?
Yeah, she can she'll go contact the owner. She'll probably want to look at it. She could also notify the state, as well as we could send a letter to the state.
Which isn't, yeah.
If you wanted to, but yeah, Nancy's the one that could act on behalf of a violation, because it's also a violation of our buffer.
Yeah. So it's
So
plenty
I
of
think-
violations in there.
I think it's
Well-
always a good idea to try and reach out to the landowner initially, because
First-
who knows, they may not be aware of this. They may not be
Right.
aware of the sensitivity of the area and the the wood turtles and the habitat that's up there. And they may say, oh my gosh, we didn't know, we're sorry, we'll reroute our trails. And that would be a really nice outcome. If we get pushback, then I think we do need to take the next step, which is to, notify Nancy that we've got a violation of local ordinances, and notify DES that there's violations, because running machinery and ATVs through wetlands is a violation of the wetland dredge and fill law, because it is considered dredging by machine in those wetlands, and you cannot do that without a permit, particularly when you've gotten an endangered species in there. So I think we ought to take the appropriate steps, start low, work our way up, try and get, cooperation from the landowner if we can. If we can't, then we take it farther up the ladder. That would be my recommendation.
So,
I feel like at the beginning, we should also start out reporting it to the state, because this area has been reported as habitat for the wood turtle. It's on record for that, and they need to know what's happening out there because of that.
Yeah, that would be Fish and Game. We'd want to get them in on it as well.
That's what I was going to
Sing
say.
game.
I listened. I'm sorry. This is Evelyn.
okay, yes,
I listened to, actually, I think it was last week, Fish and Game. They had, public radio had a big session with Fish and Game. And they did say that these off-road ATVs, particularly this year, are really being very destructive and going off paths. And Fish and Game would be a good one to, I think that's their jurisdiction, is to get after these people too. So I just wanted to make sure we got a hold of Fish and Game too.
so Patty, if reported to Nancy, she would contact the owners of the property first.
Okay.
And then send something to the state.
And then will you want me to go to Nancy and then to the Fish and Game, and have the Fish and Game go out and view the site, and they can talk to the owners too? Do you want me to do both?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
because then they would take it to the next step with the state, if that's the proper process.
There is, if I could, there is an actual complaint form, land resource management complaint form, that goes to DES.
Yep.
So I don't know the whole process, but I'm under the impression if a complaint is filed at the state level, it starts with DES and can be copied to Fish and Game. But I don't know. I would like to just reach out to the landowner first, though, to let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to speak to the landowner first, and then go from there. I don't know.
But you're right. DES would be the lead agency. They have memorandums of agreements with Fish and Game and Natural Heritage Bureau to bring them into the process. So DES would be the lead agency, and they'd be the appropriate ones to file the complaint with. And there's I think, as I recall, the complaint form has fields where you can notify other agencies and describe the violations and whatnot. But DES does take it seriously, as does Fish and Game. Several years ago, they launched a big outreach campaign, and they drew up some posters. And the poster, the tagline on the poster says, "Stay dry, stay legal." And it's specifically geared towards ATV operators, because if you're not staying dry, then you're probably doing something illegal.
Yeah.
So,
Susan?
Yes, thinking about doing this in a fashion that gets results in a quicker way, I would think that we should reach out now to the landowner. Start with the landowner and say, this is what's going on. It's against, these rules. You're in, whatever. Whatever, but let them know first. So then they know, and I don't know what they can do, whether they're part of the problem or whether the problem is the ATV riders are not the landowners, but I'm not sure what they can do. But it'd be nice to start, we're a local group, start with them right off the bat, say this is what, and tell them this is going to be reported. This is where it's going. This is the process. But at least they're not backsided by the state and say, why did not our local people come to us?
First.
Okay, but when you say reach out to the landowner, let's just be clear. If we do that, we're doing it through the code enforcement officer, so that it becomes abundantly clear to them that not only is this a problem, but this is a violation of the wetland water conservancy overlay district, and is also a violation of state regulations.
Right, because sometimes you go directly to the state, it's going to maybe a month before they take any action. If we start with the landowner, perhaps they can begin to rectify the situation. So it's
right, but I just want to make sure that it's clear to not just that, hey, please stop this.
Right.
But you need to stop this. This is a serious violation. There will be consequences if it's not ended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do we have someone that can speak to the landowners? Is that Nancy's job?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll talk to Andrew. Andy's going to send me some stuff, and I will talk to Nancy, and she's the one that can go out and let them know that this is going on, and I'll talk to Derek too, just so
that would be our first, and then go from there.
Yeah, and I'll keep you guys updated. I'll email you as to what's going on.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion or anything on this, or just?
And let me just add one more thing, and this is a good way to go about it, because I can tell you firsthand knowledge that when a complaint comes in from a municipality, let's just say it takes on heightened importance with DES.
Mhm.
It gets moved up to the top of the pile.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's okay. But I'm just thinking if it all comes together, maybe at the same time almost, but just it won't take months to get this rectified. At least if we get on it right now and move.
So, to see the area, Andy, does she have to she has a kayak.
Well, I would think she would want to
She'll go
talk
to
to
the
Landover,
owner first and talk to him.
but I'm more than happy to go up there with her or him or them or whoever it is.
That might be good if she hasn't seen it firsthand, where you've seen it firsthand, which would be more helpful to talk to the landowners. And if you had your photos and things,
Absolutely.
go with Nancy maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if that's, I'd have to talk to Nancy on the process, but he's sending the photos, so she will have the photos. That might be enough for her, that she can go out and talk to him, and she'll probably touch base with Andy about the situation.
Just make sure she has some real background information that is,
Well, she'll get everything we've just seen.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And you just follow the trail.
When you see that, you can see how serious it is.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion or anything on this, or is this just a violation that's moving on?
I don't think you need a motion.
No, I
You're
didn't think so.
directing me as staff to follow through on an issue that's.
We'll just follow through and
Yep.
work from there. Okay. We do thank you Andy for noting this and bringing this to our attention so that we can act on it also and know
Well-
what's going on.
So here's a question then, if we're starting out and saying, well, we'll escalate later if need be, are we talking about we'd have to wait a month?
No,
No,
Because there's,
no.
you know, as Andy described the change within 2 weeks, that's incredibly dramatic and an enormous amount of loss of habitat in just 2 weeks.
I would think you
I-
could almost do this, both of them, see the landowners and then kind of move on pretty much right away.
Well,
Yeah,
so
time is of the essence. We need to move
Right.
quickly.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's nice to tell local people what is happening before you take the next step.
I understand, but we only meet once a month.
We
So if a
wouldn't
letter-
have, we
If
wouldn't
a
have to vote.
letter is to be sent from the Conservation Commission to the state, do we want to at least have a vote right now to authorize sending that letter if need be?
Oh,
It
sure.
wouldn't hurt. It
Yeah.
wouldn't hurt.
You do that.
If-
All right, then I'd
if we
like
need-
to, I'd
go
like to
ahead,
make a
David.
motion that we authorize town administration to send a letter on behalf of the Conservation Commission about the issue and complaint to DES if determined by staff that we need to go to that next step.
Okay, we have a second on that.
I'll second that.
Susan, okay.
I
All
have
those-
a question.
Okay,
Is
yeah,
this
Evelyn?
something that is this something you should be CCing the landowner?
Well,
Well, they're
Yeah.
going to be contacted first.
we're gonna contact them first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking legally, do you want to keep them in the loop so they,
We are
Anyway,
gonna
okay.
contact them
We can
first. and
CC
then-
them.
And then CC, yeah, okay, thank you, Patty.
Okay.
Yes, definitely they will be in the loop because we're.
okay, thank you.
Okay, we need a vote on this. Susan,
Yes.
Andrew,
Andrew, yes.
David,
Yes.
Evelyn,
Yes,
Amy,
Yay?
Jean, yes. Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, very good. Okay, thank you again for bringing this to our attention and hopefully by next month there'll be something else we can report on that's better. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.
Did David just leave? Oh, he's back. Okay.
Wow.
Next we have election of officers. We need 3. We need the chair, the vice chair, and the treasurer. Somebody want to make any motions or?
Oh, I nominate Gene Walker to be the chair.
Thank you, David. And
second,
I'm going to nominate Andrew to be
Andrew.
the vice chair. And
oh, Jean, you took that away from me. I wanted to do that too, but go on.
and Susan to be the treasurer. Might as well do it all at once, right?
Sure.
So,
Okay, second.
And
Okay.
I'll
I
second if any more
second it.
seconds are
Amy
needed.
seconds it.
we get all kinds of people seconding that one. All those,
Even the dog seconded.
yeah, I was going to say,
Heard coming from Collis to
So-
speak.
we just need a vote on that, starting with David,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Amy,
Yay.
Evelyn,
Yes for the full slate.
and Jean, yes, for everyone, okay. Also, I
Great.
want to mention that Karen McCray, who has been a longtime member, probably since the beginning of the Conservation Commission, will not be signing up for this next session. She's taken a little break, and we do appreciate all the effort and the work she's done for the commission over the many, many years. And yes, we do appreciate.
Well, yeah, I think
Um,
can we at least send her a
We will-
letter of appreciation?
Everything is being taken care of. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
right.
there is a policy in place for recognizing people based upon their years of
Yes.
service. So that's already in place.
It's
Oh,
in
good.
place. Kathy
Okay,
Ball already
good.
spoke to me. And so,
Uh-huh.
but we do thank her for all the work she has put into the commission and the time. And since she is not going to be a full member, I would like to move Evelyn back into a full member, and that would leave the opening for 2 alternates coming up. So I'm going to nominate Evelyn to be a full member. We probably need a second on that.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, I'll start with Susan,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Evelyn. I guess you can vote on yourself, Evelyn, or not.
I don't know, I think I
And
have to
Jean, yes.
abstain on that one.
Oh, okay,
So what you're doing is making a recommendation to the select board to fill those positions accordingly to what we
to,
just talked
to,
about.
to change that up,
Right,
yeah.
make the
Yeah.
changes, yeah.
Okay, and we need a discussion on the stewardship and open space paper that we had, that Patty did a great job putting together for us. Do we have any comments or anything other than it's on this paperwork?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Patty. It looks absolutely terrific. And yeah, I mean, I would be more than happy to adopt this form as it is. One thing though, it's an easement inspection report. And I think we also need to cover not just easements, but we actually need to really start with the town-owned conservation land. I think that's probably the most critical one. So we'll probably have to do something similar, just, with some slight changes because there won't be any easement involved.
So
So
land, you go land/easement stewardship inspection report. And just,
Yeah, we could do that. And then like the stuff where are all the terms of the easement being met if applicable.
yep,
You know,
okay.
that's actually a very good idea.
Mhm.
To just
Yeah,
make
Yep,
good
one
idea.
it
form.
one form that covers both.
Yeah,
Because yeah, that's probably where we really need to get started first. I think that's our highest responsibility. Then we're going to have some interesting discussions in the future going over the lists of all the properties that the town holds easements on. Because the reality is the Conservation Commission, we haven't placed easements. Easements we've done have all been with land trusts. The easements that have been placed, being held by the town of Goffstown, have come from the planning board, not the Conservation Commission. And so we should be at least having a discussion or making it clear, like, who's dealing with this. These are easements you folks established. Do you want to roll this in with Conservation Commission stewardship? How's this going to work? It shouldn't be a complicated discussion, but it hasn't been had. So
Has to be, yeah.
that should be noted.
Mhm.
And then a third item. So when we go out to do these inspection reports and check a property, and these forms are all about, has anything changed? We don't have on these properties a baseline data report to start from. I mean, that really is the beginning. It's like with the projects we just voted on, a baseline data report is created. This is the state of the property when it is secured. And then the easement inspections that come after that are, making sure nothing has changed. So we're going to have a round of going out and creating baseline data reports. That, of course, will be another form. So we'll have to look into that, coming up with that. it'll be a little bit longer and a little more complicated because it's the starting point. And for those, we definitely would want to start with our town-owned conservation lands, and before we consider how we'd move ahead with, all the properties created in subdivisions that the planning board has put on. And those are a real mix, by the way, too, because some of them are really kind of isolated and more like real conservation land. I'm thinking of like a couple of the big tracts that are in the Harry Brook corridor, whereas others are kind of embedded within the subdivision common space area. And yeah, that's going to be more interesting discussion to work out how we're dealing with those.
So yeah, I have a kind of an observation and a comment. So yeah, I agree with you. We do need some baseline documentation. That's what you measure it up against when you go out and do your inspections. Does it stand up to the original baseline documentation? But I guess what I wanted to comment on, and we ought to give some consideration to, is the fact that this baseline documentation, as well as the easement inspections, can be a significant amount of work. And it may be more work that we as a commission can take on. And it's not uncommon for conservation commissions to budget to have professional consultants go out and do this work on behalf of the town, to prepare those baseline documents, to perform those inspections and submit reports on their inspections back to the town. So we may want to give some consideration to looking at our budget, putting some money in our budget for that purpose.
Is it too late to put it in for next budget?
Yeah. Well, it's not too late for us to start talking about it. That's for sure. The budget process, I forget when it starts, November? Yeah, I mean, we're really early now, but.
Well, going forward as we do projects, that should be done at the time that they happen.
For sure.
This playing catch up, we've got conservation land we own on the mountains. We've, the Page Hill ones, we can actually lump all those together into one. So that's not so much of a problem. But I mean, in the budget we just voted on for that project, it was like $1,800 to do the baseline data report when it was contracted out.
Yeah.
And so if we're suddenly doing a whole bunch of them, that's a big slug of money.
Yep.
I think maybe we should at least entertain the notion of doing the first couple on our own, just to sort of iron out the details, how it should be done and all that.
And then be ready for the next budget.
Well, and then maybe once we've ironed out and we're satisfied with the process, we could perhaps solicit some bids for external help, but we be in a better place to understand what it was we're looking for, what it was we need.
Or if we flip that around a little bit, we could retain a professional to do some of the ones that are town-owned that are important, and invite Conservation Commission members along so that they can see how the field work is done, get a feel for how the data is collected, how the report is written. And then as we move forward, the Conservation Commission members will have been trained. And then, then I would feel comfortable with Conservation Commissioners then picking up the ball and running with it, having been trained, if you will, by a professional. So that's one option as well.
Yeah, it's a nice flip, Collis. I didn't know you were such a gymnast. That is a good idea.
Good idea.
But and then we're also just gonna have to sit down and go through the whole spreadsheet of properties, all the different classifications and categories, and the biggest problem I can tell you right now what it's gonna be, because we already all know what it's gonna be. That's the South Mountain.
Yeah,
The mountain.
for
We've
sure.
tried times
where
to do that.
In the past couldn't really get a decent survey that putting all those little pieces together, and so how are you going to go out and do an inspection report or a baseline data report with that elephant in the room? That's still a major issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be. Okay, so at this point, we're looking for another form, correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so Patty, I really appreciate that you did that. Didn't mean to dump yet another task on our overworked staff. So if you want to send the Word doc to me or someone, we can make some of it and send it back to you, maybe for editing or comments. But I don't want to dump all the work on you by any means.
Okay. All right, for you mean for the database line form or for what we're doing to this one too?
Oh, this one's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, for
adding
this one,
stuff.
this one is going to be slight modifications so that it can be used for either
Yeah, and I have,
town-owned land or easement.
yeah, I can do that. But the database, if I had like an example of someone that's done one.
I'll
Yeah.
take the responsibility of getting some examples.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
have to reinvent the wheel here. We can do a little snooping around and find one that we like. Think
You
this is
send
our
it to
needs,
me and then I can rewrite it.
and we'll just pirate it.
I'll take the action of coming up with something that we can look at for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right, do we have any other discussion on the paper? Thank you, Patty, again, for
Oh, you're welcome.
putting this together. Next, we have to do a vote on the corrections and exceptions of the minutes from April 28th. Do we have any corrections? No? Okay, do we want to make a motion on accepting? Somebody?
We do.
Somebody?
Andrew Chaplin, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as they are.
Thank you. We have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, starting with Susan,
Yes.
Andrew, Capel, Andrew,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Evelyn,
Abstain. I wasn't there.
and Jean, yes. Any opposed? No. Okay, David, I don't think we don't need anything on open space, do we, right now?
The only thing I would mention is that Monday night, the select board voted unanimously to accept the executory interest on the Burns easement. So that completed all public hearings and all those requirements. So now it's just a question of organizing with the state and Derek and PLC to do the closing.
Very good. Okay, any other issues or questions, or somebody want to make a motion to?
I was going to ask one thing. The July meeting, I had talked to Jean about this. I'm not going to be here when you normally meet, so either I could have someone cover, or I didn't know if you'd want to move it up the week before. And that way it would be just before the planning board meeting. And if there was anything that came in that needed your review, it could actually go to them for their meeting the night after. Sometimes you guys, your meetings run together and it's great. So if you have an application you have to review, we can provide comments and they can get it the next day. But that one, the way it's the meetings are running, it's their meetings before your meeting.
That seemed like a good.
It's up to you, or I can get a staff member to come if
A good plan.
if we have to have a meeting.
Anybody have any objections to that?
It would be July 21st. I would be asking you to meet on instead of the later July meeting date. Where is it? I'd say it would be July 21st instead of July 28th.
And if by any chance we don't have a big agenda, I mean, like we could possibly have both July and August together, to seeing how things come in at that time. Is that's feasible also? Yeah.
Okay, so our June
Yeah, if you
meeting
don't
is
have
at
anything on.
June meeting is still on at the
As
same.
scheduled.
June, you do have, I have something coming in.
Yeah, June, she said we had some plans. It's July, there's nothing right now, and if possible, we could have the two meetings together or no meeting, or a week early.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Wishful.
Patty will post that?
Huh?
You'll post it, because it has to be posted.
She'll post it.
Yeah, if we do, but I just want to make sure you're okay with that. as changing the
Like
meeting
2
date.
months off, so she'll probably post it when it gets much closer.
Right.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was just checking, sometimes just make sure you guys could meet a week earlier. if we needed.
Patty's ahead of herself. I'm
I'm
She
planning
wants to
it.
make sure we're all happy with this decision.
Patty, you're too efficient. You're way too efficient because here's your opportunity to get out of one of these meetings and you're setting yourself up to doing it anyway.
Well, what happens is it probably would, Joanne would have to probably be the one that would have to run it. And she's doing and there's a lot of meetings right now. CIP's planning CIP.
Oh,
So then I was like, oh, maybe we'll move it that way. It just worked out good that if you did meet and then we had an application that needed to go to planning, they could go to you first and then planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, that was it.
okay, anybody have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Evelyn,
Yes, okay.
second,
Evelyn seconds, Susan made the motion. All those in favor, Susan,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Evelyn,
yes,
Amy,
Yes.
Jean, yes. Opposed? No. Okay, thank you.